Good morning, good people. This is your PooleProof Wisdom Moment. Something that occurred this week got me thinking again. And my gosh, I love the fact that being able to think through and reason through things is still a skill set I possess. It seems so often that the world just reacts to everything, feels its way through everything, and there's very little thinking assigned to any given activity. But I love to think. I love to consider. It gives me perspective so that when I'm looking at the world and the activities and behaviors of other people, I'm not just looking at it through a lens of my own design, but taking into account the realities with which other people live. Now, this week, there was a case where someone I know was going through a process which he had done everything he thought he was supposed to do. He had made amends to the people he felt that he'd hurt. And he'd done some really dastardly things to people, which hurt a lot of people, which made him persona non grata for a lot of different reasons. And when he got through doing all of the apologizing, all of the excusing of behaviors, even though it was a justified action on his part, he was distressed that many of the people accepted what he had to say, but then did not welcome him with open arms. In fact, some of them pretty much said they didn't know if they could forgive him. They did not know if they could even deal with him again. And it was terrifically distressing to him. So he called me up and we had a nice long talk about it. And I explained that there's this tendency when we do the right thing, finally, after we've done whatever we've done, we think we should be rewarded for it and that all will return to normal, that everyone will embrace us with open arms, and that all will be as it once was. At least that's what we hope for. But that's not reality. The fact is, just because you have done what you know is the right thing to do, after you've done something that has left people feeling a way about you, it doesn't mean that you're going to get an immediate, if ever, restoration to the way things were. And you have to accept that, because no matter what the circumstance is, what you've done is still on the record for a lot of people. So just because you're ready to move on, it doesn't mean that everyone who's been affected by what you've done is ready to move on. And you've got to learn to accept that for what it is. And you have to accept that maybe it will never change. Maybe they will never be ready to move on. And you will possibly be in a position where you may never even be forgiven. That is the consequence of doing something that has impacted people in a way that they cannot deal with, that they cannot get over, even if you have. Time, consideration, circumstances, the good Lord may all come into play in terms of how that person feels about what you've done and whether or not they can ever engage with you again, trust you again, love you again, whatever the nature of the relationship was. But just because you've done what you know you need to do to attempt to set the record straight, you have no right to assume that that means that the outcome will be what you expect. And you've got to give everyone the room that they need to find that ability or not on their own and not judge them for it. When you've done what you can do, sometimes, many times in fact, that's as good as it's going to get. And you have got to get to the point in your own life where you're comfortable with having done that. And then, my friend, forgiving yourself. Because sometimes that's the only level of forgiveness that you're going to get. And it's all that you can expect and go forward with. Now, once that happens, you don't hold a grudge against the person who is having difficulties getting over what you've gotten over. You simply accept that's their journey and you leave them to it and you continue on taking your journey one step at a time, one day at a time for the rest of your life. And that, my good people, is your PooleProof Wisdom Moment for today. Find my podcast, PooleProof Wisdom, on Spotify, on Apple, on Google, on many podcast platforms everywhere. It's the holiday season, so I'm going, of course, Sell my book. My latest book is I Am My Own Cause, the third act, Surviving and Thriving, available in every format, print, softcover, hardcover, and even in audiobook form on Audible. You can find it online at any bookseller, and any online bookseller anywhere means literally any online bookseller everywhere. In the meantime, I encourage you, take an inventory of how you're feeling this holiday season. Right now, everybody thinks everyone's in good cheer, but there are a lot of people who are in struggle, a lot of people who are suffering and going through it. If you are one of those people, don't feel compelled to hide it. Ask for help, reach out, and you'd be surprised how many people are there willing to reach back to you. Have a great day, everybody.